All right, let's talk about something that sounds like a magic trick for your finances, the balance transfer card. It promises to get you out of debt fast, but here's the big question we're tackling today. Is it really a golden ticket to financial freedom, or is it just a shortcut into an even deeper hole? Let's figure it out.
You know that feeling, right? You open your credit card statement, you make a payment, but your balance barely moves. It's like you're running on a treadmill. All that effort, and a huge chunk of your money is just vanishing into interest payments. It is so frustrating. But what if you could just flip a switch and turn that interest off?
Well, that's pretty much the core idea here. You take that expensive debt, the one on a card charging you 20, maybe 25%, and you move it over to a brand new card. And this new card gives you a special promotional deal, 0% interest for a set amount of time. The whole game really hinges on that temporary interest-free window.
So let's start with the good stuff, the promise. Because, look, when you use these cards the right way, they're not just a little helpful. They can feel like a financial superpower. And the main appeal is super simple. They can save you a serious amount of cash.
And I'm not talking about saving a few bucks here and there. For anyone who's carrying a decent-sized balance, being able to pause those crazy high interest charges for a year, maybe even more, that can easily save you hundreds, and very often, thousands of dollars. That's real money going back into your pocket, not to the credit card company.
Let's just break that down. With a normal, high-interest card, a big slice of every payment you make just disappears. Poof, gone to interest. But with a 0% APR card, every single dollar you send them goes straight to work, knocking down the principal, the actual money you owe. You finally stop paying the bank just for the privilege of being in debt, and you start actually paying the debt itself down.
And it's not just about the savings, it's also about simplicity. I mean, if you're juggling payments for a few different cards, you can just roll all of that into one single, predictable monthly payment. And even better, it gives you a clear finish line. Just look at the example. Say you have a $5,000 balance. You put it on an 18-month deal. Now you have a clear target. You just have to pay about $278 a month, and by the end of it, you are debt-free. Having that concrete deadline, that's a huge motivator.
Okay, but that's the sunny side of the street. That's the promise. Now we have to flip the coin and talk about the peril. Because if you're not careful, these cards have some really sharp edges that can make a bad debt situation a whole lot worse.
Every ad you see for these cards is screaming about that 0% offer.
But the real story, the one that matters, is always buried in the fine print. And it's in that fine print where the real dangers are hiding. To use this tool and not get hurt, you've got to go in with your eyes wide open.
And this right here is the first and maybe the biggest risk. Let's call it the APR cliff. That wonderful, glorious 0% rate, it's temporary. And the second that promotional period ends, any balance you still have left falls right off that cliff. The interest rate skyrockets, jumping from 0 to something like 23% or even higher literally overnight. If you haven't paid it all off, you could suddenly be in way more trouble than when you started.
And another thing, that transfer isn't always free. Nope. Most of these cards charge you an upfront fee, usually somewhere between 3 and 5% of whatever amount you're moving. So let's go back to that $5,000 transfer. Right off the bat, you're going to owe an extra $150 to $250. You absolutely have to do the math to make sure the interest you'll save is way more than this initial fee.
And here's another catch. The best deals, the ones with those really long 0% periods, they're not for everybody. To get one, you'll almost always need a good to excellent credit score. We're talking typically 690 or higher. And that's the tough irony, isn't it? The people who could probably benefit the most from a deal like this are often the ones who are least likely to qualify for it.
But all those other risks are financial. This next one is psychological, and honestly, it might be the biggest trap of them all. So you do everything right, you move your old debt over, and what are you left with? A shiny new, empty credit card that is just begging to be used. If the spending habits that got you into debt in the first place haven't changed, you can end up in twice the trouble. You'll have the old balance you're trying to pay down, plus a new one you're racking up. That is a true recipe for disaster.
So we've seen the promise, and we've stared into the peril. This brings us to the big question, the final verdict. How do you decide if a balance transfer card is actually the right move for you?
The verdict really just comes down to this. It's a fantastic idea if you are disciplined, and I mean really disciplined. If you have a rock-solid, no-excuses plan to pay off the entire balance before that 0% rate vanishes. But it's a terrible, terrible idea if there's any doubt. If you think you might be tempted to spend more on it, if your income isn't totally stable, or if you're secretly just kicking the can down the road, don't do it. The crucial thing to remember is this tool is only as good as the plan you have for using it.
So in the end, a balance transfer card isn't a magic wand, and it's not some automatic trap waiting to spring on you. It's a powerful tool. And just like any powerful tool, its effectiveness and its safety is all in the hands of the person using it. So the real question isn't just about the card, it's about you. Do you have the plan and the discipline to make this a permanent solution, or is it just a temporary fix? Only you can answer that.